Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today is the last Sunday of the month, which means it's time for Chef Kelley Williamson, who is also known as the plant-based Kitchenista. She's going to be making her own dinner for herself tonight for Christmas Eve. It is a Ratatouille lasagna and an Italian salad. Please welcome her to the show. Happy day before Christmas.
Thank you. You too. And it's
Yay.
hope you're enjoying wherever you're at. Hopefully you're enjoying some nice weather or you're getting the snow that everybody's looking for Christmas. So we are here in Colorado.
Why do we want a white Christmas? I like a sunny
I,
Christmas personally.
I don't know either. I know one time and stuff we went down to not Sedona, but I can't even think of it. Like somewhere in Arizona and stuff. And it was like they had, it was nice and it was like 70 degrees and they had the palm trees lit up. It was so pretty. I was like, that's not bad. I could take that.
No.
Better than snow. Yeah.
Yep. The only thing I miss about living in the desert actually is the weather. I don't miss the snakes, spiders, and scorpions. Man, they had big spiders in the desert. I haven't seen a bug in 2 years since I've lived in Northern California. I think it's too cold for them.
Yay. I could do without the bugs. There's a lot of people that where we moved and stuff, they back up to a green belt because everybody wanted to have, the open land behind them. But the same thing, they're getting mice and snakes and spiders and all kinds of things like that in their basements. And I'm like, I'm good. I don't need that. No thanks.
Yep. We'd always get a lot of crickets in the desert too. And you can
Yeah.
never see them, but you can hear them all night.
And they would get into certain places, like you try to find them and you can't find them. They get into like in between the walls and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, they're bad.
I
Yeah.
remember when I moved to the desert, I lived there myself for 3 months while Charles continued to work in LA. And I kept hearing them. I didn't know, exactly what it was or where it was. And the neighbor said, "Oh yeah, well, don't worry, the scorpions will eat them." I go, "Scorpions?" And sure enough, and the scorpions, I'm not kidding, they were like this big. They freaked me out. And when you're not used to them, it's really tough to get used to something like that in your 60s.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, it's like when you open up the door and something's standing there and it's like, you try to kind of push it away, outside or something like that. And it rears. I was in New Mexico and a big bug reared up at me and I was like, okay, fine, you stay there. I closed the door and went back inside. I was like, ugh, yeah.
I can't imagine our ancestors. They must have dealt with that a lot more than we did.
And they slept on the ground. Think about that. So you got stuff crawling on you at night. Blech.
What did people do in the old days about the cold, though? I mean, I can't imagine living in cold climates back before living indoors.
I have a feeling they did a lot of the, like that. Unfortunately, the bear rugs and things like that. That's probably what they did. And then they, would sleep right next to a fire, like open fires and all that. But that is not, you watch all those like Yellowstone and all those, movies that are really good to watch, but you're like, yeah, I'm not sure everybody smelled really good back then. So I don't think anybody really cared.
Yeah, it's interesting because I like to give everybody that's vegan a voice on this show if they'd like a chance. And when I interview the raw fooders, and they talk about how it's not natural to cook the food and things like that, but I think we've been cooking a lot longer than we've not been cooking. How did they
Yes.
survive, all the cold, our ancestors moving, going west and stuff, if they didn't cook their food? I can't imagine any of our ancestors really being a raw fooder.
I can't either because it's, you think about that, when you're cold and you've got, just to have something in your belly and stuff, it was probably things like oatmeal and grains and those type of things, but you wouldn't eat those raw. So yeah, I would assume they would have cooked too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that is what you're going to do today.
That's what I'm going to do. So are we ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to start making the ratatouille. So there's, as you can see over here, there's a lot of color going, and ratatouille is probably one of the most pretty ones that you can make because you've got, you've got yellow, got yellow bell peppers, red bell peppers, orange bell peppers. You got tomatoes, you've got zucchini, yellow squash, and it's pretty much one of those ones that, you can do it very, very, I guess, like normal, the way that most people would do it and use the right vegetables. But then think about it too. If you've got some things that are in your refrigerator, like maybe you have a little bit of broccoli that's starting to maybe get a little bit on the yellow side, or you just want to use it because it's going to be like 2 days from going bad. Put those kind of things in there. It doesn't hurt in the lasagna and it just makes it better, and it cleans out your fridge, which is really nice. So let me get some vegetable broth in there. Just a little bit. Don't put a lot, just because it's your vegetables and stuff are gonna give you quite a bit of moisture, especially with your tomatoes. And if you get too much, then you're gonna have to dip it out. So, all right, so we've got zucchini. So I just did kind of a medium dice on everything. So zucchini, left the peeling on. Oh,
So basically your ratatouille is yellow, it looks like yellow bell pepper, green zucchini, orange tomato.
correct. So, yep, so zucchini, so green. Then we got yellow squash. Yellow squash was hard to find here in Colorado. Don't know why. There seems to be some weird things like basil and things like that that you can't find in the stores right now. So, I don't know. It's strange. Red bell
When I,
pepper.
when I visited you, you couldn't get the Hannah's or the white sweet potatoes. Did they ever fix that?
They did. They actually, but there's very few. So when they actually have them in the stores, they'll put like a lot of the purple ones, and then they'll put just a few. There's probably maybe 10 at the Hannah, and then everything else is the sweet potatoes and the yams. Because I think that's the most popular and that's what people know. So they kind of stick to those. I think the Hannah, everybody's like, why aren't those darker? You know, like the darker kind of rust colors. Yellow bell pepper. Orange bell pepper.
And no green bell pepper, right?
No green. The reason I don't do the green and the ratatouille is just green is very, it has a very like big taste and it kind of takes over. I use that when I do green bell peppers, I usually do in Mexican food. But when I make something like this, I want everything to blend together. So the green bell, I don't want the green bell pepper to stand out.
I heard that
But
the green ones actually are not ripe. Is that true?
that's what I've heard too, but I don't know for sure. But I'm assuming, you know, if you leave green bell peppers though, you know, you think about this, you leave green bell peppers in your garden, and we used to have that. They get like a purple color, but I've never seen them go red. So I don't know. I'll look that up.
Have you
Onion,
ever seen the tiger ones that are like yellow, orange, and red? They're so beautiful. They're striped.
once in a blue moon. I think I've seen them twice in the time that I've been here in Colorado. I don't know if it's not something that they bring in a lot, but I rarely see it. There's a lot of times and stuff we won't get a lot of the fruits and vegetables that you see other places. Like if I went to the California market, huge difference, I'm sure, in what I would see. Like a lot of our tomatoes, like even the heirloom tomatoes, are like small, like this. And I know I've seen some that are like that big. So not here. Tomatoes. And this pan is going to get really full really quick. And then last thing I'm going to do is eggplant. But I'm going to let this cook down just a little bit and then I'll add the eggplant. So lots of vegetables. If you think about it, it is a whole pan. And the nice thing about it is if you have extra of these vegetables left over, then just keep them. And then you know, you can put them on a salad. You could just eat them as a regular dish, or you could actually put them on a baked potato. Would be another way to do it. So don't get rid of them.
Love ratatouille.
And it's really nice too, because you know, a lot of times your lasagnas, you know, the basic lasagnas are usually like, you know, your tomatoes, like a tomato sauce, marinara sauce, your noodles, and then you've got usually spinach, ricotta, those type of things. So they're, you know, they're very good lasagnas, but to have something that has, you know, all these different vegetables, and then we're going to have 2 different sauces, really good. All right, then I've got tomato paste. I've got garlic. Just minced garlic, get that going. Then I'm gonna let it sit and just kind of cook down just a little bit, and then I'll add the eggplant. Otherwise, my dish is going to overflow.
Do you use
All
the,
right.
which kind of eggplant do you use? You know, the long skinny ones that they call them, I think, Chinese or the regular?
Japanese.
Japanese.
Yep, you can get this one here that's here is just the regular eggplant that you get in the stores. That's, you know, the really dark, the dark purple color. So I just use that for what's going to go in here. But then what goes on the top, then I did the, hold over here. I did the Japanese eggplant. The reason why I did the Japanese is when you get an eggplant like this, it gives you really big circles. And I wanted to match everything up to the tomatoes and everything else that I bought so that I have these really pretty rows of vegetables. So that's the Japanese, which is really pretty because of the color.
Yeah, I like the color better of that one.
Me too. And you know what I found too? The Japanese, you know, like when you do eggplant, you'll notice and stuff that if you leave it out too long, it starts getting brown really quick. The Japanese and stuff, because I had it out yesterday and I was making the other lasagna that I have in the oven, it didn't brown as fast, which was really nice. So I was like, well, that's kind of nice. All right, let me grab. Let me get the noodles cooking just so I have them ready. So I'm just regular old noodles, just lasagna noodles. Those will go in. So we're gonna make a spicy puttanesca sauce. Doesn't that sound yummy? So I've got
what is the
puttanesca.
hallmark of puttanesca?
So puttanesca, it's Italian, so it's got a lot of things like Kalamata olives. So you get kind of that sweet of the tomatoes and the marinara, but then you add that spiciness. So you get like red pepper flakes, you put capers in there, you've got Kalamata olives and those type of things. So it kind of gives you a little bit of that, like kind of the umami. So you've got that little bit of the kind of the sour vinegar type of things, and then you got the sweet of it, and then you've got a little bit of the onion and things, and it just it's really good. So I got all the tomatoes and then all the diced tomatoes. So I've got those in here. So I'm just going to dump those in. That way I'll let this simmer, because the more that you let sauces simmer, the better they are. So this is just tomato sauce and a can of diced tomatoes. No salt. You really don't need it if you think about it. You know, that's even though the recipes always say like, you know, add salt and pepper optional. But if you think about it, you've got Kalamata olives and you've got capers that are coming that are going to be added to this, and some red pepper flakes. And then you've got garlic and things. You really don't need a lot of different flavors, because that's what's going to, it'll take over that and just make it too salty. All right, so basil. I'm just going to add some basil in the bottom, just like that. That off to the side. So I just leave the leaves. I don't cut them up right now. I just put them whole. And the reason why is that once I get this done, what I want to do is, since I have a lot of chunkiness with the ratatouille, I want to make sure that like my tomato sauce, instead of being chunky also, because it's a lot of chunkiness, I'm actually going to take a hand blender to it and blend up the basil and blend up the Kalamata olives and things like that in there. So then you just have that nice flavor for the puttanesca, but not chunkiness. Start. Cook down a little bit. Put the lid on it real quick. Okay, so then we've got, so the puttanesca that we're making, so we got the dice, we got the basil in there. We've got an eighth of a cup of capers. So very little liquid. I pretty much drained the liquid off, and so I just have the actual capers in there. If you don't want to buy capers, one of the things you could substitute would be lemon juice. That'll give you a little bit of that kind of that flavor without buying capers. I tend to buy capers in those little jars like that, and they probably keep them, they probably have them in the fridge for 6 months or more, because I don't use them a lot. All right. Then we got red pepper flakes. So we got an eighth of so we got 1 teaspoon. If you don't want that hot, because that's what red pepper flakes are going to do, leave them out, but it really adds to the sauce. Okay, and then we got, is it what?
Is it basil or basil?
You know what? You hear it differently all over the place. And it's funny because I always listen to a lot of the chef shows, and I would say, I've seen, who was it? What is it? Chef Ramsay, basil. And then I've seen, so it's like, it seems like more Europe is basil, and then here in the United States it's basil. So that's what I've seen. So then I've got Kalamata olives. Garlic. That's 4 garlic cloves. If you want more garlic, you can always add more garlic. Nothing better than garlic or roasted garlic. It's really good in it. A quick stir. And then we've got small onion. So small onion that's diced. This was just a white onion, but doesn't matter whatever onion you have. If you have the yellow, like I went to the store the other day. That's the other thing, was in King Soopers, which is Kroger, one of our main stores. No white onions at all. There was yellow, red, everything else, but no white. I don't know if just everybody went crazy and just started buying things, or.
Is that your favorite onion, the sweet onion?
Mm-hmm. That's what, you know what? I don't really care. I like any of the onions and stuff. Jerry prefers the white onions, so that's why I do the white onions. But red onions, doesn't matter. Right, so I'm just gonna put this on the stove, start simmering. And then we'll use a hand blender on it. Just a little while later. All right, let's give it a quick stir.
How long does your prep normally take you? Because that's, I think you make it look so easy because you do the mise en place, which I think is important.
You know, this one probably because I made 2 of them. And so it took a little bit longer and stuff than normally. I would say that to get everything ready for the Italian salad and the lasagna was probably about an hour. And that was just, because I know like how I want to cut things and that type of thing. But doing it twice and making 2 lasagnas and then making the full lasagna last night was probably about 2.5 hours. But the good thing about it, the way I looked at it, is that tomorrow, so when I'm getting ready to take things over for Christmas dinner, I've got, I can make the Italian. So I got to make a salad, a couple of vegetables, but the lasagna is done. So the lasagna will go with, that they'll eat probably like ham or something else, that type of thing. But pretty much everything else, the big things that I need to make are done. Because vegetables are easy, like asparagus and green beans and cauliflower and all that. Okay, eggplant's going to go in. They gained enough room in the pot. And the last thing that's going to go in is going to be the Italian seasoning, because that's going to be at the very end. And then we're going to put in spinach. If you look at that, is so pretty already. Who needs ham? Nobody.
Yeah, nope, especially not the pig.
Yeah.
Oh,
Doesn't even sound good.
Kelly, Jennifer would like to know if this could be possibly done in an Instant Pot, the cooking of the vegetables.
Yes, you could. You actually could. You could do this in an Instant Pot. It'd be super easy. Just dump everything in there, hit the I'd say what, 10 minutes at the most, and then just let it go and stuff, come back and it's done. And this is one of those recipes too, that if you think about it, do the vegetables, you could do them a couple days ahead of time. You could do the sauces a couple days ahead of time, have everything sitting in your refrigerator, and then just make it the last minute. So that's an easy way to do it. I mean, it's fabulous idea. Love it. All right, so we got the ricotta. So we're going to do that next. Let me grab my food processor. Put that in. All right, grab everything. And the nice thing about it too is because probably if you're looking and thinking, oh my gosh, that's a lot of chopping up, you can buy pretty much all of these vegetables, even the things that are going in the salad, that are already pre-made. So like in the stores now, like even our Kroger's and stuff, it seems like all the whole vegetables have gotten smaller, and like the organic has gotten smaller there. And I don't know why exactly, but then the refrigerated area where everything's, kind of pre-prepared and in bags and things like that is gotten larger. So I think that, it's kind of going to the world of, hey, if you don't want to have to chop and you just want to, make things quick, fast, easy, you want your vegetables chopped up, that's an easy way to do it. You can buy pretty much all of these vegetables already chopped up, and then you could actually, put them into a pot, or you could put them into your Instant Pot and you're ready to go. So that's a fast way to do it.
Chefy chefs like Ramses Bravo criticize me for that. But, I mean, he's working full time in a kitchen. I don't have time to do all that prep. If I'm going to eat healthy, I often even buy chopped onions. I buy a lot of things already made. And yeah, maybe it's a few pennies more expensive, but for the time I save, it's so worth it. And I don't really notice a huge taste difference when I get, Santa Cruz bottled organic lime juice versus squeezing limes, which are a whole ordeal. Like, for example, when I make my very popular quinoa salad for the potlucks, which calls for a cup of lime juice, I'm sitting there all day rolling these tiny limes. You can never get the juice out of them. So I'm a big believer in shortcuts.
I agree. I think that, I think a lot of the reason why people have gotten away from the kitchens and, and have gone more to like fast foods, and which, it's all the bad things that are bad for us and our health and the environment and all those things, is because that, it's just like people try to make cooking too hard. And if you can do the shortcuts, I mean, there's, I can't even remember the name, Sandra, something that's always about shortcuts, and that's one of the chefs out there, but why not? I agree. It doesn't, like if the like the zucchini is already cut up, or you buy the zucchini, the noodles and stuff because you don't want to buy a spiralizer. Why not? If it tastes good and your family loves it and it saves you time and stuff and lets you spend more time with family or whatever else that you want to do, go for it. That's what I say.
A lot of times when I buy broccoli crowns, I get very disappointed. There's pieces that just I have to throw out. When I buy the organic broccoli at Trader Joe's in a bag, it's always great. And when it's not, guess what? They take it back.
Yep. I love it. I fully love it. I think that anytime that you can get things that are simple, like the broccoli crowns, and you can get the, the cauliflower and the green beans and Brussels sprouts and all that, why not? Why spend? They always say that people that, when you have to sit there and chop, that's one of the reasons why people leave the kitchen. It's because I don't enjoy all the chopping, and I like it. It's very comfortable to me. I kind of like go into my mind and it's quiet. But if you don't like it, buy the stuff already chopped up and ready to go. Why not? That's what I say. No criticism at all. Do it. That's what I say. All right, so we're gonna do the ricotta. So we got silken tofu. And that's just been drained. And then I've got regular, just firm tofu, so extra firm tofu. And it actually had a paper towel underneath it. So it's been basically draining into the paper towel and stuff overnight. So I just give it a quick crunch like that. You can freeze. So if you end up with a lot of the ricotta, you can freeze this ricotta. The only thing that you're going to want to do is when you bring it out of the freezer and you unthaw it, is you're going to want to run it back through your food processor, because it gets like really crumbly, like when you freeze tofu. So just run it back through and stuff and it'll smooth it back out is all you need to do. Then we've got the silken tofu. So it's a container of both. And then we've got basil. Grab some of the basil. Then we've got, and if you don't have fresh basil and you can't find fresh basil, because for some reason there seems to be something weird in Colorado about fresh basil, just use your dried basil. It'll work just as well. And then I've got an onion. Lots of vegetables. Then what is in that, what your mom always used to say, eat your veggies. That's what we're doing today. Then I've got a tablespoon of lemon juice. Santa Cruz, the jar, just like what you were talking about. Garlic.
And that's the
And
other
then,
thing.
go ahead.
I was just thinking about waste. Even though I bought the Nutrimilk machine years ago, and I still actually use it for other things, specifically making Charles his nut butters, because it's a lot cheaper and better than what he was buying. I realized I was throwing out so much plant milk because I don't drink milk. I don't make smoothies. You use a splash here, a splash there, once in a while, a cup in one of my blended soups. So, I buy boxed milk, and it's not perfect, but it's like, what's that saying? Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good.
Exactly. It's like if you want to have, shelf safe milk and it's sitting in the, your cabinets because you have more space there than you have in your refrigerator. Because I don't think we ever have enough space in the refrigerator. Do it. I agree with that. We probably go through soy milk. Jerry does soy milk, but he does cereal in the mornings and he does oatmeal and those kind of things. So that's when we use it. So nutritional yeast, half a cup. Oops, I just dumped it. I tend to like things a little bit where it tastes a little bit cheesier. So if you end up adding more nutritional yeast, do.
Do you ever make cheeses like, more like hard cheeses or sliced? I mean, everybody mostly makes like cheesy type sauces or faux parmesans, but do you ever make like actual sliceable cheese or like a vegan cheese, of course?
I have. I've made ricotta and I made a cashew cheese. I made like during like when we're doing community dinners and stuff, I made a bunch of cheese balls. Just made it like with almond cheese and cashew cheese and walnut cheese. Trying to think what else. The mozzarella was the one that was the most interesting, but that we ended up making that on a pizza, which was really good, but it's quite a bit of process. Yeah, because if you try to go buy them like now, like if you go, I mean, I know Miyoko's out there, those type of things are really expensive. And they've got, there's not necessarily is all the right products in them. There's usually a lot of oil and things, but you can make them, like fermented cheeses and things like that are not that hard to make. You just have to make sure, you're doing your soaking of your nuts and all those fun things, but they're good. They are good. Let's get going.
Do you ever freeze your lasagna either before or after cooking?
I'm sorry, I couldn't, it was the food
Oh,
processing
sorry.
noisy.
Do you ever freeze your lasagna either before or after cooking?
In this house, no, because Jerry eats it. I mean, he will go through like a lasagna that's, a pan 9 by 13 and stuff in probably 3 or 4 days. So not, but yes, you could definitely, I would say, I would do it. I usually do it and stuff after, and then I'll freeze it in like little containers and stuff. So like it's like meal prep type of a thing, and then you can have it. But I've never had the chance to freeze my lasagnas because somebody eats them. Which is good. That's a good thing though, right? I just do this one more time and make sure it's all good. Perfect. So there's my ricotta, all ready to go. Smells good too, because it's got that nutritional yeast smell. Get the food processor out of the way. I'm going to add my spinach. And then my ratatouille is ready to go. Noodles are almost done. Spinach. So put as little or as much spinach as you want. And if you didn't want to do spinach and you wanted to do, some other type of vegetable, like maybe some other kind of green, feel free. Depends on what you have in the house. And this is, like I said, this is one of those type of lasagnas that you could clean out the refrigerator, which I love. Yeah, this week and stuff, like the last 2 weeks, Jerry and I've gone really kind of like really basic on the foods. Sometimes I would do like the bigger dinners and stuff, but we've gone, more like the stir fries and the potatoes and, just things like that. And it's been really, really nice. And it's amazing what it brought back to me was that like what I'm using. And then you're like, so you get your potatoes, you have them cooked up. And then the next day, you can make a hash, and then you can do all the things and stuff that you can, because you kind of get away from this if you really start cooking a lot of different dishes. But it cleaned out my refrigerator. So yesterday when I went to the store to buy, the last minute things that I needed here, it was like replenishing their fridge all at once. And I remember back when, when you're making a lot of fancier dishes and stuff, you have, tons of stuff that's sitting in your refrigerator, and you don't necessarily use all your carrots and all your potatoes and all those kind of things. They kind of sit for a little while. So that was really interesting. And it was actually really fun. It was like, I love there was like no waste at all. Okay, so there's the ratatouille all ready to go. So it does have some moisture, but that's okay because I will dip that out. All right, noodles are done. Here's the Italian seasoning, added at the last. And if you don't have just the Italian seasoning, it's just, of course, your basil, oregano, little bit of thyme, and a little bit of rosemary. Don't add a lot because it will overpower.
What do you ever use herbs de Provence? And what is that?
I do. Once in a blue moon, I would say, I think I've had like 1 or 2 recipes that have done that. But I don't know if I have it here to say what's all in it.
Is it lavender? Is there something different about it? And when would we use that?
Usually I've seen it in more like Moroccan type of dishes, and that type of thing is when I've seen it. And I would say that I've used it when I used it before. I've used it in, I think I used it in a, what am I trying to say? It's got the mashed potatoes. What is that? A shepherd's pie is where I've used that. And then there was one time where I did some roasted vegetables and it called for that, but it's not, and it's got like, I think it like a little bit of, is it like, I can't even remember. Jerry, can you Google? It's been a while since I've used it. I mean, we're talking a long while. I've got it down in the basement, and it's not something I use a lot.
Oh, you got to keep it in the basement.
Well, it's because I ran out of space. I mean, I got cabinet space and stuff, but I run out of space of like how many spices. I mean, you can, if you just, just that, and I got the top shelf, but you can't reach it. But I put all like the main spices that I do, and then the other ones I don't use, I have a rack that goes on the back of a door. Instead of putting it on the pantry door, I put it on the basement door, and it just has all the different spices that I need once in a while. Herb de Provence. HERBSD. And points. All right, let me clean out my sink real quick because I'm going to do the noodles.
Is Jerry a good cleaner upper?
I
There
would
was a
say he does like he'll do like the dishwasher and those kind of things, but I'd say I know we talked about this last time, or we talked on one of my other things, but it's a lot of times and stuff. I think everybody has their own way of wanting to do to load the dishwasher. And so I end up, even though I'm cooking, I end up loading the dishwasher just because I like it a certain way and I know I can get more dishes in it. All right, let's just get these going so we can start building lasagna. Whew, that was a steam bath. Sauce is simmering, looking good. All I'm doing is putting cold water on the noodles just so that I can touch them, because when you're making when you just got them done like this, if you touch them and stuff, they're really hot. I just want to be able to pull them apart. And this is one too that if you didn't want to do, if you wanted to say, I don't want to do noodles, you could actually not do noodles. You just leave it and just do all vegetables.
Really? That sounds.
Yeah, without the noodles. Good way to do it. Okay, let me grab it. All right, so then we got the sauce. I'm going to add that right here. And I'm going to grab my hand blender. Just move it over here, easier. Use a little bit of the hand blender.
Kelley, do you know how to create a bit.ly?
Have I done that before?
The thing is you've given me the recipes, but they're just too long for the show notes. They only give us 5,000 characters and I can't get them in.
Okay.
So I don't know what to do. I could put one of them in, like the lasagna, and just.
I can do that. We can create a bit.ly link for you. We can do that. Or a Google link.
And
okay.
Then maybe you get people, then they can sign up for your newsletter. I just can't fit it in. Even if I take your bio out, it's way too long.
Gotcha.
So I'll just say recipe coming soon and then.
Yep, we can do that and I can send it over to you and.
Okay. Sorry about that. It just doesn't fit.
Oh, that's okay. That happens.
Yep.
All right. So now we've got the sauce. All really good. As far as taste, you can taste. So it's like you've got, the sweetness of the tomatoes, which are just yummy. And then you've got the little bit of that basil, but then you've got the capers and you get a little bit of the Kalamata olives and stuff. So it kind of gives a little bit of that kind of that vinegar flavor a little bit, but then the garlic meshes it all really together. It's really good. You have extra left over, freeze it. So just dish it in. All right, then we're going to grab the noodles.
Any special kind of noodle you like to use?
I think that, there's so many different types and stuff. I use the, which ones do I use? The Barilla, I can't even say it. Barilla. We use that one, which is really good, but there's tons of them that are out there. You can also get the Bonza, which is the chickpea, and they tend to hold up really well. I remember when they first came out with all the gluten-free and then the chickpeas and stuff, they didn't hold up well, but they've actually done a really good job with that lately. So
you ever
go
use
ahead.
the no boil noodles?
I have used those before. Sometimes what I find with them is that when I'm making the lasagna, they'll do this, they'll like bubble up on that. So that's why I usually, when I'm doing something like this, I'll usually just do the regular noodles. And I don't know why that does that. And it's like I get a lasagna and it'll be like this. It'll be like a bubble.
Yeah, they have to be really ensconced in the sauce.
Yeah, even though I put like a lot of sauce on them, there's still every once in a while they'll bubble up on you. So I'm just going to do a little bit at the end here. And you always have a pan that's a little bit bigger than what you need. Okay, so then grab my spoon and my spatula. Then you're going to do your ricotta. So just kind of dish it on and you're going to spread it out. And you could put as much or as little as you want. So if you want to make, if you're thinking, oh, geez, I don't want to have to go buy the silken tofu and I don't want to have to buy, the regular tofu and make all this up. If you want to skip one, then you can skip the silken tofu and just use the firm tofu and make it up that way. But just make sure when you've got it in the food processor that you really let it blend a lot, because otherwise and stuff, it'll kind of be chunky, which is a little bit more. Then we're going to put the vegetables in. And I'm going to pull the other lasagna cookies. All right, so then you've got all these beautiful vegetables. Make sure you don't get, try to get the liquid out as much as you can. Spread this over so you guys can actually see. But think about this, when you cut into this, think about the bite you're going to have with all the different vegetables, and you've got the ricotta, you've got the marinara, which is a little bit spicy. Or if you don't want spicy. And I'll show you here just a second before I put the marinara on it. Really spread your vegetables out all the way to the end. So do a quick tip. So that's before I even add the marinara and everything else to it. Wonderful. All right, so then you just drizzle marinara. But make sure you save some of the marinara for the end, because the way you're going to plate it is you're going to have it basically sit in the marinara and then the pesto sauce we're going to make here in just a few minutes.
You make it look so easy.
Thank you. A lot of practice. All right. Then we go the noodles on the other side. So as you remember, I put the small noodle on this side. So the noodles are sticking together just a little bit. But now I go on this side, overlap. And that way it goes, everything overlaps, which is really nice. Finding one that's broke. Yeah, the no boil are really easy, but like I said, I've sometimes had issues with them. So that's why I was like, nope, for the show, we're making the real ones. Okay, so same thing. Ricotta. Dollop, dollop, dollop. And then the last layer that we're going to do is the beautiful layer. And I'll show you why, because there's one in the oven. And you'll see that I put it on a baking tray. And the reason why I did that is because if you go all the way to the top to, you go all the way to the top to your, with your lasagna, a lot of times and stuff, your tomato sauces will start bubbling over and then it gets all over the bottom of your stove. It's not fun cleaning up. So just put something underneath it. Like if you're doing pies and those kind of things, if you have anything that goes right to the top, and it'll save you a lot of trouble of having to clean. A little bit more. All right. So then as you were watching, vegetables next. So think about how hearty this lasagna is. You've got all the vegetables and all the good things for you. Our household now has almost two of these.
One today, one tomorrow?
One today, one tomorrow. Then Jerry gets, and then we'll leave the one over at Jerry's daughter's house because she loves all the lasagnas and things that we make. So we'll leave that there so her family can enjoy it. And then Jerry he won't have to worry about trying to steal a piece there. He'll have a lasagna here that he can eat. So this will be pretty much his lunch for the entire week. He's really good if I make lasagna or something like that. He will actually eat that for almost the whole week. There's a lot of people I know that like, I don't like leftovers, but as long as there's things like this, he'll eat it. Okay. Little bit of leftover. You could actually just use that as a soup, which would be really good. Put that off. All right, last layer. So now we'll add the little bit of the marinara sauce. We'll add the last noodles and then we're going to decorate.
Ooh, decorated.
Decorate. We're going to make it look like eye candy. All right. So grab the noodles. I went that way, so now I'll go this way. So I've got everything kind of layered over. That way, when you cut into it, you don't have anything that breaks up, which is really nice. You'll see I'm overlapping just a little bit. There, and then we've got last piece for the end. Voila. Of course, when you're done, you need to wipe down all the sides and all the fun things. And then, I said on the recipe, you've got all these little vegetables that you're going to want to do. So you're going to grab some of your marinara sauce. This marinara sauce smells so good. And always, like I said, make sure you leave the marinara sauce. You want to be able to add it onto the bottom of the dishes. But the nice thing about it too is if you have extra marinara sauce and somebody wants some, you've got the extra. And we're going to get this in the oven. Okay. All right, so then grab your zucchini. The way I did it is I just went all the way down the row. Nice little circles. They're probably 1/8 of a quarter to 1/4 inch thick. So I got that. Then we'll do Japanese eggplant.
Jennifer says she always gets intimidated to make veggie lasagna. She did it once and it was very watery because it had lots of zucchini. She should try again. If you cook the zucchini first, it probably would kick the water out, don't you think?
Exactly. And if you've got, if it even tends to have because a lot of times they'll say make like zucchini noodles. You've got to make sure and stuff that you really pat them dry, because yes, if you do like zucchini noodles and things, it will get really watery, and then it's not good. So yeah, cook it and then pat it. You could even pat it dry with one of those, like the cotton towels, like these type of things, like that. All right, so keep going. I'm doing zucchini. No rhyme or reason, depends on what you guys want to do. And then I've got eggplant. You could do 2 of each, you could do 1 of each. And I got yellow squash. You can see why I did the Japanese eggplant. It's because I wanted the circles to all match. And then if you have extra left over, stir fry. Tomatoes, Roma tomatoes, because they have a nice round circle.
Have you ever, instead of using noodles, used like very thinly sliced butternut squash or zucchini as noodles?
I have. I've used that, and there's also one time I made a polenta. So there's all kinds of different ways that you can do lasagna. So yes, you could do that without doing the noodles. You could also make it, you could actually spiralize in here if you wanted to, like your spiralized zucchini noodles. You know, sweet potatoes are good. There's all kinds of different ones. Jerry's tends to be more of the traditionalist and likes a lot of the noodles. But grab my Japanese eggplant because I miscounted on one, and I'm going to make this salad. Can't have one off. There we go. Right. Yellow squash. Boom, boom.
You sure making it pretty.
That's what it's all about, making it pretty. All right, the last thing I do, so just Italian spice, just to add a little bit of color to it too. You could do the black pepper, which is just a little bit more of the Italian seasoning. All right, there it goes. Oh, it is heavy. Going in the oven.
Oh my
350,
God. That, and so
45 minutes.
that's
Doesn't that look good?
very cool the way you did the top.
Thank you. And you could do, you know, instead of doing the rounds, you could do slices. So, you know, you can almost do like what I thought about and stuff this morning was doing one where you do like a, what am I trying to say? Like a tic-tac-toe, you know, where like all the, you know, when they do like turkeys and they line them with bacon, but they overlap everything. I was like, you could do that with vegetables. That'd be really pretty. Parchment paper. A little aluminum foil on the top, 350, 45 degrees, going in. And it's heavy. The other one's ready. All right, salad. See, I do have some extra zucchini and yellow squash. That's going to be stir fry later, which is going to be great. This is my favorite salad because there's so many good things in it. So I've got romaine lettuce, and you know, but you could use any of your favorites. You could get the ones that have the little containers and stuff where it has like the 5 different colors of lettuce, and then it has red leaf lettuce. So those are just the 2. And then I've got roasted red peppers. So those came out of the jar. So that's a shortcut, or you could actually roast up your own. And I just did them in nice little, kind of like little strands, but then I also cut them in half because I like to, like if you're, you know, got a bite of lettuce and you've got a bite of the roasted red peppers, it's really nice and stuff to have them all where they kind of match like the mouthfeel. All right, we've got cherry tomatoes. They had San Marzano tomatoes and stuff for cherry tomatoes yesterday in the store, and I was like, those are beautiful. Love it. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of basil here in a second. Jicama. Jicama is great for you. It's one of those ones that, you know, if you buy the jicama, you can also buy it just already chopped up. You can do that, or you can chop up your own, but it's really refreshing. And it's really nice. I remember when we were in Rancho La Porta. What did you eat with your cheese sauce?
Oh yeah, I
Remember
had the
that?
jicama sticks because I didn't want to eat their greasy, salty chips.
Exactly. We were all eating the carrots and the celery and the jicama sticks and all that, which was really good. I was glad they had those. Yeah, because their chips did. Any chips in Mexico are I've never, not good. Always greasy.
I can understand the people needing the salt, but like, why the oil? Because they make the Guerreros here they do have salt, but but there's no oil. I don't know why people want those oily chips. When you have them in a bag, the bag just gets all oily.
Yes. They're really, yeah, we always, even if when we go to Mexican restaurants here, we actually take our own chips. So I bake them. So I've got, so corn tortillas already baked up. So there's no salt or anything like that on them. So we've got those. So we're kind of known now in the restaurants of, they bring out the chips and salsa and they're always like, oh, how come you're not eating the chips? And they're like, oh, you're the ones and stuff that bring your own chips. We're like, yeah, we are, but it's good for you. Kalamata olives. Garbanzo beans. Something Jerry never used to eat on salads when we would go places. Hated garbanzo beans on the salads, and now we eat garbanzo beans with everything. Artichoke hearts. So just jarred canned artichoke hearts, or you can get the frozen ones, which are really good too. And then just chop them up because you want to make sure that, they're not the big pieces. So you have the smaller pieces with everything else. A little bit of basil. A little bit of scallions. Gives you your onion flavor, which is really nice. And then we're going to mix this up. Look at the colors on that. And you've got the crunch of the jicama, you've got the sweetness of the roasted red peppers, you've got the artichoke hearts, which give you that volume. You've got these really sweet tomatoes, garbanzo beans. And I'm not a fan of I'm okay with them in the sauce and stuff, so I will be giving those off to the side, but they're good in a salad. It's a very popular salad when you take it places. People love it because they're like all the vegetables and the different things, artichoke hearts that are in there. You don't see a lot of salads with artichoke hearts. All right, last thing is, and then we'll pull out the lasagna. Then I've got to do the pesto real quick. So dressing. This is what we call the crack dressing.
The what?
So good. Crack dressing.
Kraft. So it tastes like Kraft Italian.
People are just so addicted to it. When I make this dressing, they're always like, oh my gosh, this is so, they said it's like crack. So we had a friend that gave up.
Okay, crack. I thought you said craft, like, craft.
No, crack. Sorry, crack. All right, so we got, in here, we've got so we got balsamic vinegar. We have shallot. It's in there. And when I make this up, I'm making this small for here, but when I make this up, I make it up by the mason jar, just because we take it for like all kinds of things and we eat it for all the time. Okay, then I got a little bit of parsley. Ran out of little dishes, so I'm just adding the parsley in there. Grey Poupon. Love Grey Poupon. Then I have, what am I trying to say? Stone ground mustard.
You have how come two different kinds of mustards?
It's a great flavor. So usually I just do the Grey Poupon when I just do a regular one. But when it comes around the holidays and stuff, it just adds that extra kind of oomph to it, because that, when you get that stone ground mustard, it just gives a really nice flavor. So I just add it. You don't have to. You could just do Grey Poupon or just stone ground mustard, or yellow mustard is another one. Sometimes I've actually added yellow mustard in there too. And so then it's a really mustardy dressing. which is really good. And then just red wine vinegar, a little bit of that. And the last is ground flax seeds. That's going to give it, so what it's going to do, it's going to be probably a little bit runny when you first do it and stuff, but the flaxseed is just like, it's like an egg and stuff, and it's actually gonna make it where it's really thick. So you don't have where it like runny balsamic, which is really nice. Just a little bit of the blender. I'm gonna do the pesto really quick. And then we are plating.
That's amazing that you have all those different mustards.
Have you ever tried, there is, I mean, it's just any dressing that has, like if you like mustard and you do yellow mustard, stone ground mustard and Grey Poupon and something like this, it's unbelievable, the mustard.
And you don't put very much sweetener in it at all. I'm surprised.
You don't need it. You've got, and especially if you've got the right balsamics. I mean, if you buy, you know, the very inexpensive balsamics, you know, they're very tart, but if you buy the ones that are, have, you know, that you add a couple dollars to your bottle, your balsamics, especially like even your reduced ones, are very sweet. And so don't need a lot of sweetener. So there it is. So already just getting it ready so you can see it's a lot thicker than just a regular balsamic. Taste wise, it's delicious. Got a little bit of kick because of your mustards and stuff, but on a salad like that, when you've got all the garbanzo beans and everything else, wonderful. All right, pesto really quick. So we're going to plate up. And you're not going to make a lot of pesto just because you don't need a lot of pesto. You just need enough for just a little bit of the flavor. So on this thing, we've got a 1/4 cup of pine nuts. And that's why you don't want a lot of pesto, because things like pine nuts and things like that can have a lot of calories, but just a little bit. You don't even have to do the pesto if you don't want to, but it's just something that we're going to make up because it's just really pretty. A little bit of water, garlic. I remembered I had this other little Cuisinart multi prep plus and stuff in the basement. I was like, yay, because then I don't have to clean out the other food processor. All right, and then we've got garlic in there, got a little bit of miso. And what else? We got basil.
And the pesto is for what?
The pesto is just to add a little bit of the flavor and stuff to the lasagna. So it's going to be on the bottom of the plate. So it's just more like, you know, when you go to places and stuff and they'll have like a red sauce and a green sauce. That's what this is for. Yeah.
And it is Christmas, so we want red and green.
Yeah, exactly. Just have a bit of that. All right. All right, it's been a long time since I've used this one, so let me over there. Been in my basement forever.
What's been in your basement now? I've got to see this basement of yours. Maybe we can do a video from there.
There is. People are always like, you know, I don't need to go shopping. I should just come to your basement.
It's crazy.
You know, it's all the cooking classes because, you know, we used to do all the community dinners and all the face-to-face cooking classes and all that. So there's a lot of stuff down there that I need to probably start purging.
Yeah, I think in California, we don't have basements, or at least I've never lived anywhere with a basement.
I have at least probably 15 shelves, 4 shelves high that have stuff on it.
So you're ready for the apocalypse down there.
All right. Now we're going to plate. So let's say taste wise. Tastes like basil pesto. All right, let's get everything out of the way. So herbs de Provence, marjoram, rosemary, thyme, basil, oregano, savory, and bay leaf.
Maybe it's the savory that's different.
I think it is the savory. I'm not a big fan of it, as like I said, because we used very little of it. But I think it is the savory and stuff that I'm not a fan of. All right, there we go. Let's get it out. Room. Another heavy lasagna.
Is that actually a lasagna pan? Or
This, you're talking about the glass or?
yeah, it's a Pyrex, right?
Yeah, just a regular Pyrex 9x13. So there is lasagna. I'm going to tip it just a little bit so you can see it. And then we're going to get the white plate. It look pretty.
It looks gorgeous.
It's like you don't want to even like cut into it. It's like, all right, plate. And usually you want to let it rest a little bit, but since I forgot to take it out of the oven to let it rest a little bit, it's like you don't want to cut into it.
No, you want to give it like 10 or 15 minutes to.
Yeah, you do. But I'm going to show you how you're going to want to plate it. So you've got your sauce. Make the circle big or small, depending on how much lasagna you're going to put. So you could take this and you could do like the, the famous swoosh if you wanted to right through it, or dollops. That way you're getting the flavor, but not necessarily all the calories, which is the. Gotta go right in between the eggplants. And I'm gonna do. All right. Now wish me luck.
Good luck.
I hope it came out a little bit on the bottom. Right, let me do some basil. If it's set just a little bit longer, it would hold up a little bit better. Go. Salad. Dressing. And we will be ready to eat. This is one of my favorite salads. Has all the goodies in it, which is nothing better.
Whoa, I love those bowls.
Aren't they pretty? Makes a salad look so good.
Guys, what do you think of this? Put it in the chat what you think of Kelley's artistry. Doesn't it look delicious, even though it's a little early for it? I eat that right now.
For salad. Yeah. Garbanzo beans.
Which balsamic did you use?
I used Napa Valley Naturals.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's very that, I didn't always know Thomas from California Balsamic. That's what I used for years. It's wonderful. It's got a great price point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and you can get it at the regular store. They have it seen it at Sprouts, Whole Foods. I've just seen it at regular grocery stores, not even the more natural grocers.
Exactly. It pretty much is gone mainstream, which is really nice now. All right. Here we go.
I don't know how you have time to make such beautiful food. And I mean, you like work full time, not as a vegan chef. You have like an 80-hour a week job, don't you?
I do. I work a lot of hours, but at the same time as cooking, cooking is one of those things that like relaxing. And so, being able to cook and do things like that is fun. That's why.
Do you think if you
I'm
cook,
very lucky.
I'm curious, because I worked in a restaurant and people always think it's so glamorous. And when you do something like for your job, it's never as glamorous as it looks on TV. Do you think if you had to do this, not had to, but if you decided to do this 80 hours a week, like your regular job, you'd like it as much?
I think so. I think that, the only thing that you think about when you're cooking and stuff, the people and stuff, it's like when you're on your feet 100% of the time, and that's tough on you, it's tough on your body. But as far as, being able to create things and having people go, oh my gosh, that's the best thing that I've ever tried. Yeah, I think so. It's that kind of that, they get the light of, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so wonderful and it's so good. And then they
How
keep
do we
coming
get you
back.
out of this job and into this profession? I've been one of your biggest fan. I am not one of, I'm your biggest fan for years. I know what your food tastes like. I've tasted it. So how do we get you? What do you want? Maybe there's an angel. Listen, if you don't, my business law teacher at the University of Pennsylvania, Murray B. Dolphman, used to say, you don't ask, you don't get. And, we've had shows where, like, for example, obviously not everybody watches every show, but when we had Pete, my friend who's a quadriplegic on, and he needed a van, and an angel investor, a vegan, we can't say who, like came by and provided that for him. I mean, we did not raise enough in the Indiegogo. Maybe there's somebody watching that either lives in Colorado that can taste your food, or that, I mean, what do you want? You want a restaurant? Do you want a food delivery service? What do you want to do? Let's get you this. Come on. Next year is in a week. Let's create this right now, guys. Everybody. That's what we do on New Year's Eve. We never drank anyway, so we don't go out on the road with drunks. We make a vision board. Let's make your vision board verbally right now. What does Chef Kelley want to create in this space? And I'll help you. And we'll all support you, right, guys?
Yeah. I would think that, having a restaurant and stuff is very tough business now. And there's so many restaurants that go in and out all the time. And it's hard to find people and stuff, good people to work with you and all those kind of things. So I would, I always wanted to do the food delivery because I think that, having it in town and stuff and having people to be able to have things with their friends and family and, if they're homebound or whatever, that they have really good food and they don't have to worry about things like Meals on Wheels and those type of things, but they get really healthy food and it's good and it's pretty. It's all, but it's all about eye candy, I think would be the most fun.
And would you want to do that locally? Well, then could you talk to somebody like Mark Gossman, from Whole Harvest, somebody that's already done it so you don't have to reinvent the wheel?
Yeah, that's something that I've been looking at. Yeah, because it's definitely there's a lot of businesses out there, but there's a lot of businesses that are not necessarily healthy. And that's a lot of the things and stuff, so you can order, through all kinds of things, but they ship you oil, they ship you, all kinds of things
But
and stuff.
Whole Harvest is Ornish approved. It's
Yeah,
Goldhammer approved. It's always oil free, and then they have an SOS free line. So why don't we have you talk to him? Because if you just do it in your town, then we don't get to eat it.
true. That's true. And it is a big business and stuff. Boy, if you start shipping things and stuff, you really got to make sure you've got it down pat. Because otherwise and stuff, people return it and don't like it or it doesn't get on time and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of work, but it's
I
good.
have a feeling that I don't know why I think that Mark actually lives in Colorado. So will you talk to
I think
him?
he does. Uh-huh. He lives in Fort Collins. Yep.
So what's going on here? Let's get you guys together, at least have a conversation. Would you guys buy Kelly's food if it was widely available? Yeah. Dixie says hobbies are more enjoyable than a job. Okay.
That's true. Very true.
Um, Gina said, I've had Whole Harvest. It's great and it's enough food. And I agree too. I mean, I eat so simply that I don't necessarily need the services of a food delivery service because I can eat the same potatoes and broccoli every day and sweet potatoes. Jeff says he'd absolutely buy it. But for a lot of people, if they could have, I mean, they can see how beautiful your food is, but if they could taste it like I did, then it would be so easy for people to be healthy and vegan. In caps with 3 exclamation marks, Jesse says, absolutely would buy Kelly's food. Lori
Thank you.
would,
Thank you.
so Nancy would, Randy would, Colleen would. So heck yeah, says Randy. Lori says definitely need healthy on meals on wheels. Jennifer said I'd buy her food. Why not? So you got enough people. You just I'm not a business maven. I just I'm a connector of people, so I can tell you who to talk to. And let's get this because I mean, unless your job isn't watching this right now, probably, right?
No, no.
You're like
Even if
unless
they
you
did,
just
they know I cook. Yeah, they know I'm a chef
no,
on the
but I mean,
side.
unless you just absolutely love those 80 hours a week and what I mean, if you just love it, then who am I to tell you to stop? But I see like how much you love this. So I'd like you to make money doing what you love, you know?
Thank you. Yep, I will definitely reach out to him and talk to him. Nice guy. I've met him once on a phone call because he
Well,
had shipped us his dinners just to try
and
one
you know what?
time.
I've done him a bunch of favors. I introduced him to everybody. So not everybody, but the people he wanted to be introduced to, which is quite a lot. And I'm going to send an email and say, I want you to talk to my friend. He will. He's super nice. I can do it on
Yeah,
text too. So anyway, that's the
cool.
point of Chef AJ Live, connecting great people with other great people, like the great people in the audience, many of whom are future and past guests of the show. And I really appreciate it. Well, Kelly, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see you next year. Kelly's show is moving to Friday afternoons at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Gustavo, who's the last Friday, is moving to Sunday. We're making a few changes next year, shake things up a bit, but Kelly will be back. So thanks so
Thank,
much, Jerry. Enjoy your food for the week.
thank you. Happy
We should just have,
holidays.
we should have an episode where Jerry just comes on and eats everything. I think they call that a mukbang, and then he could just sit there eating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he would definitely do that. He'd be like, yeah, this is good and that. Yeah, yeah.
Jerry's a good eater.
Yes. Very
Yeah.
good eater.
All right. You guys are great. Love you so much. And
Love you
guys,
too.
thank you so much. Merry Christmas or Merry Christmas Eves. Chef AJ doesn't take a day off. And we are having 2 live shows tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific time. I know it's a bit early, but my guest Shane Martin from Shane and Simple wants to be able to spend the day with his family. So he's going to make what he's making for them, which is a vegan French toast casserole. And then at 3 p.m., I know there's some people that maybe don't have places to go and are kind of stuck at home. So I'm going to be coming on with some friends of mine, people that you haven't met, or maybe you have, but they're the moderators of my channel, Jesse and Susanna, and then Pam and Zena, who are the moderators of all my programs. So we're just going to do a hangout, just chat. You can ask me anything. I'm pretty much an open book. Happy holidays, Kelly and Jerry.
Happy holidays. Love you.